Sarah stared at her laptop screen, the 10th draft of her rebuttal email to the university board blurring before her eyes. Outside, another news van idled, hoping to catch the corrupt professor on camera. Her phone lay silent. She'd stopped checking it after the death threats started coming. A new email dropped into her inbox. The subject line read, Ali, Marcus Wong, not his first time. She almost deleted it, assuming it was more harassment, but the sender caught her eye, encrypted at securenet.org. Dr. Chen. We've been watching. He did the same thing to Dr. Yuki Tanaka at Tokyo Tech last year, and Dr. Rodriguez in Buenos Aires before that. We can help. The Truth Seeker. P.S. Check your printer in exactly 60 seconds. Her printer hummed to life, spitting out a single page. It contained a QR code and the words, "Use Tor." Sarah's hands trembled as she scanned it with her phone. The code opened a secure chat room. The Truth Seeker. Welcome to Research Assistance. Dar_Tanaka_Yuki. Sarah-san, we've been expecting you. Juno says_lab. One more warrior against the influencer invasion. Messages poured in. Researchers from around the world, all victims of social media scientists who'd stolen their work. They shared screenshots of Marcus's early videos, highlighting stolen methodologies and plagiarized findings that predated his discoveries. He's planning to rush the polymer to market, wrote Dr. Tanaka. My original safety studies showed severe environmental risks if the regeneration process isn't properly controlled. A new window popped up, a private chat with the Truth Seeker. We've infiltrated his startup's cloud storage. Want to see something interesting? A video file appeared. Marcus in a corporate boardroom, 6 months ago. Look, the original research doesn't matter. We control the narrative. By the time anyone proves anything, we'll be too big to touch. Trust me, I've done this before. Sarah's hands clenched into fists. How many others? At least 7 labs. But he's getting sloppy. Wang Wei's IPO announcement next week. He's rushing because venture capital is starting to ask questions. Her screen filled with documents. Evidence of Marcus's previous identities. His pattern of infiltrating labs. The network of paid trolls he used to harass his victims. It was all there, waiting to be exposed. A notification flashed. Marcus's latest video had just dropped. Huge announcement. Wang Wei going public. His face beamed with practiced sincerity as he promised his followers exclusive pre-IPO access. In the secure chat, messages flew. He's speeding up his timeline. The polymer isn't ready. If it goes to market like this. Sarah straightened in her chair, determination replacing despair. What's our next move? The Truth Seeker. That depends. How good are you at digital forensics? For the first time in weeks, Sarah smiled. Behind her, the printer hummed again, receiving encrypted instructions from her new allies. The war for truth was about to begin. The International Polymer Science Conference in Singapore had always been a dignified affair, but this year, the line to enter the main hall stretched around the building. Teenagers in lab coat cosplay mixed with distinguished professors, all clutching phones ready to record. Sarah watched from a side entrance as Marcus posed for selfies with his fans, his new Italian suit catching the light perfectly. Mr. Wong, is it true you're announcing a major breakthrough today? A reporter called out. Marcus flashed his signature smile. You'll have to wait and see. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The crowd laughed appreciatively. Sarah felt her phone buzz. A notification from Marcus's newly launched app, Wang Wei, showed his follower count had just passed 15 million. Below it, a message from their department chair. Exciting news. Marcus's startup just secured $50 million in Series A funding. Make sure you're ready for the presentation. Their presentation. The one they'd spent weeks preparing together, carefully outlining how their regenerative polymer could revolutionize waste management. Once they completed the necessary safety protocols, Sarah pulled out the slides on her tablet, then froze. These weren't their agreed-upon slides. The entire presentation had been rebuilt around flashy animations and bold claims about immediate commercial applications. Looking for something? A smooth voice made her jump. Trevor Nash, Marcus's new chief strategy officer, stood behind her. His smile reminded her of a shark. Marcus made some last-minute improvements. He'll handle everything. You just sit back and enjoy the show. Those slides make claims we haven't verified, Sarah protested. The regenerative properties aren't stable enough for Dr. Chen. Trevor's voice hardened. Your contribution to Wang Wei's intellectual property is appreciated, but Mr. Wang feels the presentation needs a certain marketable energy. Perhaps you should check your email? Sarah's tablet chimed. New message from the university's legal department. Urgent review of IP rights assignment required. Attached was a document showing that Marcus had filed patents under his startup's name. Patents that covered their entire research scope. Inside the hall, applause erupted as Marcus took the stage. A massive screen behind him displayed his logo, a stylized logo that looked suspiciously like the molecular structure they'd discovered together. Today, Marcus's voice boomed through the speakers. I'm going to show you something that will change everything. Sarah moved to approach the stage, but two men in dark suits stepped in front of her. Security, but not the conference's usual team. Their earpieces bore the Wang Wei logo. I'm his research advisor, she said. I need to. Mr. Wang's presentation is closed to unauthorized personnel, one replied mechanically. On stage, Marcus was describing industrial applications they'd never tested. His followers in the crowd were streaming everything live, their faces glowing with adoration. In the front row, venture capitalists nodded approvingly. Sarah watched her life's work being rewritten in real time, transformed into social media soundbites and stock options. Her phone buzzed again. Hashtag Wang Wei was trending worldwide. Going live in 30 seconds, Sarah muttered. Her makeshift streaming setup balanced precariously on her kitchen table. After Marcus's smart home attack, she'd stripped her apartment down to analog basics. A borrowed laptop, a cheap webcam, and the truth. It would have to be enough. Marcus's weekly Wang Wei Wednesday stream was about to start, where he planned to announce the final details of his IPO. Sarah checked the research assistant's secure chat one last time. The truth seeker. We've got teams ready to fact-check in real time. Dar_Tanaka. My environmental impact data is queued up. Buenos_lab. Backup strings standing by in case they try to shut you down. Sarah's hands trembled as she pressed Go Live. Her stream title was simple: The Real Science Behind Wang Wei. At first, only 3 viewers joined, then 10, then 100, as research resistance members began sharing it across scientific communities. In a separate window, she watched Marcus start his own stream, his production value gleaming with professional lighting and graphics. Today we're making history, Marcus announced to his millions of followers. Wang Wei's revolutionary polymer technology. Let's talk about where that technology really came from. Sarah interrupted, her voice steady as she shared her screen. The folder from Marcus's cloud storage opened. Original research sources. Her view account suddenly spiked. Someone had managed to hack several Wang Wei fan forums, sharing her link. The chat exploded. Wait, what's happening? Is that Dr. Chen? Fake infidelity. Wang Wei for life. Sarah methodically laid out the evidence. Original research timestamps. Video of Marcus practicing her mannerisms. Documentation of his previous lab infiltrations. But it was when she played the environmental impact simulations that everything changed. The regenerative polymer, in its current unstable form, creates microplastic variants that are virtually indestructible, she explained, sharing Dr. Tanaka's data. Release this into the ecosystem, and we're looking at permanent contamination off. Her stream briefly glitched. Wang Wei's tech team was trying to shut her down, but research resistance members were fighting back, keeping her online. In the chat, scientists began confirming her calculations in real time. Then came the message that changed everything. A new username, Wang Wei_inside. Marcus asked me to scrub these files last week. I kept copies. A flood of internal documents appeared. I'm his brother. I can't stay silent anymore. On his own stream, Marcus's polished demeanor cracked. These are baseless accusations from a discredited. Tell them about Buenos Aires, Marcus, Sarah challenged. Tell them about Tokyo. Or should we play the boardroom video where you bragged about doing this before? His follower count began to drop. In Sarah's chat, more whistleblowers emerged, interns, lab techs, even a one-way board member, all sharing pieces of the truth. Marcus's face contorted with rage. You think this changes anything? I have millions of followers. I am the future of science. No, Sarah replied calmly. You're just another story about what happens when we choose popularity over truth. Her viewer count passed 1 million as Marcus's stream abruptly ended. The lab hummed with the soft whir of equipment at 11:47 p.m. Sarah hadn't planned on working this late, but the anomaly in their latest polymer batch demanded immediate attention. The sample had shown unprecedented degradation rates, too perfect to be true. She needed to verify the results personally, away from the chaos of daytime lab hours and Marcus's constant filming. A shadow in the doorway made her jump. Great minds think alike, Dr. Chen. Marcus stepped into the fluorescent light, his usually perfectly styled hair slightly disheveled. He'd foregone his typical camera-ready outfit for standard lab wear. I couldn't sleep thinking about those results. Sarah nodded, trying to ignore the uneasy feeling in her stomach. She hadn't told anyone about the anomaly, not even her research partners at the Environmental Institute. How did you know about? I always check the lab data logs before bed, he said quickly, already pulling on his gloves. It's kind of become a habit. Mind if I help? Before she could respond, he was already preparing slides of the polymer sample. His movements were precise, practiced, different from his theatrical flourishes on camera. This was the Marcus she'd first met, the brilliant student who'd earned his place in her lab. The next hour passed in focused silence as they worked. Sarah carefully documented each test while Marcus operated the electron microscope. At precisely 1:23 am, everything changed. Dr. Chen, Marcus's voice was barely a whisper. You need to see this. On the monitor, their polymer wasn't just decomposing, it was reconstructing itself into a new molecular pattern. The implications were staggering. A plastic that could break down and reform into biodegradable compounds would revolutionize waste management. This is impossible, Sarah breathed, reaching for her research notebook. We need to document everything exactly as. She stopped. Her notebook wasn't on the bench where she'd left it. Looking for this. Marcus held up the familiar blue book. I moved it when I was setting up. Here. As he handed it back, Sarah noticed something odd. The latest entries seemed different. The curves of her eyes and G's weren't quite right, but Marcus was already talking, his excitement building. We need to plan this carefully. The announcement, I mean. With my platform, we could make this bigger than any traditional academic release. I'm thinking a series of videos, building up to the reveal. Get people invested in the story, you know? Sarah flipped through her notebook again. Marcus, these pages. Oh, that? He laughed, but it didn't reach his eyes. I spilled some coffee earlier. Had to rewrite a few pages. I was going to tell you, but then this happened. He gestured at the microscope. Pretty good copy of your handwriting, right? Those calligraphy tutorials finally paid off. The security camera in the corner let out a soft click as it rotated toward them. Marcus glanced up at it, then back to Sarah. His smile remained perfectly in place, but something cold had crept into his expression. We're going to change the world, Dr. Chen. The question is, are you ready for what that means? Sarah's key card emitted an angry red flash instead of its usual green. She tried again, then a third time, watching her reflection grow more desperate in the lab's glass door. Behind it, her equipment sat in darkness, thousands of hours of research just inches away, yet suddenly inaccessible. Dr. Chen? The security guard approached, looking uncomfortable. I've been instructed to escort you to HR. Her phone vibrated. Marcus was live on YouTube. The truth about my research. Why I had to go solo. The thumbnail showed her photo with a red X through it. The view counter was already at 2.3 million. I didn't want to do this. Marcus's voice cracked with rehearsed emotion as Sarah watched on her phone in HR's waiting room. But when I discovered the data manipulation, the corner cutting, I had a responsibility to my followers, to science itself. The HR director finally called her in, sliding a document across the desk. Due to serious allegations of research misconduct, your access has been temporarily suspended pending investigation. Allegations from whom? Sarah's voice shook. Marcus. He's the one who… Dr. Chen, please. Multiple witnesses have come forward. The HR director pulled up a series of screenshots. Social media posts from lab technicians, ones Marcus had hired, all telling variations of the same story. Sarah, supposedly jealous of Marcus's success, trying to sabotage his breakthrough. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Twitter notifications poured in. Can't believe I trusted her videos #one way on away. Old guard trying to hold back innovation smug. RT if you stand with Marcus against academic corruption. Sarah's drive home was a blur. She barely registered the hate messages filling her email or the university's press release announcing a thorough investigation into her conduct. But she couldn't miss the drone hovering outside her house, one of Marcus's followers trying to get footage of the disgraced professor. Inside, something felt wrong. Her home office door was slightly ajar, though she distinctly remembered leaving it closed. The window was open a crack. Her backup drives, containing years of research data, emails, and original experimental footage, were gone. Even her cloud accounts had been locked out, citing suspicious activity. Her laptop chimed. A new video from Marcus, posted seconds ago, live, exposing the full truth. The chat was filled with supporters sending him money, promising to protect him from her. I have to show you something, Marcus said to his millions of viewers, holding up a familiar blue notebook. Dr. Chen's original research notes. Notice the inconsistencies, the altered data. Sarah felt her legs give out as she slid to the floor. On screen, Marcus flipped through pages that had been subtly but skillfully modified, weaving a compelling narrative of her supposed misconduct. The handwriting was perfect. Those calligraphy tutorials had paid off indeed. In the corner of her screen, a small notification appeared. Your one-way account has been permanently suspended for violating community guidelines.